My coworker, who I've been in love with for 2 years, just told me she only dates women, and I haven't moved from my desk in 20 minutes. We got hired the same week. Different departments, but the building was small enough that you couldn't really avoid anyone. She came up to me on my third day and asked if I knew where the good coffee was because the stuff in the break room tasted like hot sadness. I laughed harder than I should have. I showed her the spot 2 blocks down. We walked there together and talked for 40 minutes and were both late getting back. My manager noticed. I did not care even a little. That became our thing. Tuesday and Thursday mornings. Coffee run, no matter how busy either of us was. It sounds small, but I genuinely restructured my whole morning around those 40 minutes. I started waking up earlier so I'd be ready. I started caring about what I wore to work in a way I never had before. My roommate pointed it out and I told him she was just a friend. He nodded very slowly and said nothing, and that was somehow worse than if he'd argued with me. She is the kind of person who remembers everything. Not in a weird way. In a way that makes you feel like what you said actually mattered. I mentioned once in passing that I'd had a rough birthday as a kid, and 3 weeks later, she showed up to work with a cupcake and a candle and made me blow it out in the parking lot at 8 in the morning. I stood there with frosting on my thumb thinking I am in serious trouble. I kept it completely locked down. I am actually proud of how well I kept it locked down. When she talked about dates, I asked follow-up questions like a normal person. When she mentioned someone she thought was cute, I agreed and moved on. I built this whole internal system for managing it, and it was working. It was genuinely working. Then about 6 months ago, she got promoted and moved to my floor. Same hallway, 4 offices down. I could hear her laugh through the wall sometimes, and I had to just sit there and keep typing, like that was a normal thing to experience. We started eating lunch together almost every day. Not by plan, it just kept happening. She'd knock on my door and hold up her lunch bag, and I'd grab mine and we'd find a spot outside if the weather was okay. We talked about everything. Family stuff, weird childhood memories, what we actually wanted out of life versus what we thought we were supposed to want. She told me once that talking to me felt easy in a way that not many people did. I wrote that sentence in my notes app when I got back to my desk and then felt embarrassed about it and deleted it. But the notification stayed in my history, so it didn't even matter. I started wondering if I was misreading the whole thing. The way she'd find me first when something funny happened at work. The way she remembered my coffee order without asking. The way she once fell asleep on my shoulder during a work retreat movie night and woke up apologizing, and I told her it was completely fine and it was the most fine thing that had ever happened to me. I started letting myself think maybe, just maybe. I asked her to my friend's birthday dinner 2 weeks ago. Casual. Group thing. She said yes immediately. She got along with everyone. On the walk to the car, she bumped her shoulder into mine and said she had a really good time, and I thought, okay, something is here. I am not imagining this. So yesterday, I finally decided I was going to say something. Not a grand gesture, just honest. I had the whole thing loosely planned out in my head. We were doing our Thursday coffee run, and the timing felt right, and I was ready. We got our drinks. We were walking back. I was about 30 seconds from opening my mouth, and she said, "Can I tell you something kind of personal?" I said, of course. She said she'd been doing a lot of thinking lately. About herself, about dating, about why things never quite clicked with any of the guys she'd gone out with over the years. She said she'd been talking to a therapist and slowly working through some stuff, and she'd recently come to understand something about herself that actually explained a lot. She told me she thinks she's gay, that she's pretty sure she only likes women, that saying it out loud to someone she trusted felt important, and she trusted me most. I told her that was brave. I told her I was glad she felt safe telling me. I meant every word of it. She smiled and looked so relieved, and we kept walking. And somewhere in the next 30 seconds, I quietly folded up everything I had been about to say and put it somewhere I didn't have a name for yet. We got back to the building. She hugged me outside the elevator. She went to her floor. I came to mine. I sat down at my desk. That was 20 minutes ago. I have not opened a single email.